Welcome to the Boise State Esports Arena. Tonight you're joining us for NACE Star League Valorant postseason. The Broncos are ready to go up against St. Clair. Tricky matchup to be sure, as St. Clair is one of the top 10 programs in the nation for Valorant. So the Broncos are going to be looking to make a statement, hopefully go long and make this competitive, make it a close game. To see if it is a close game, I'm going to be calling all the action for you. I'm your host, Jacob Palmer. I'm joined by Greg Smith for this match here tonight. And Greg, when we're going up against a tough team like St. Clair, sometimes you need all the help you can get. And I understand that we might have a morale boost of sorts by picking an agent that is quite interesting.
Yeah, I could definitely hope so. We would love to see Gecko riding the reins out into our first match that we've seen Gecko play so far on the turf. And a morale boost, definitely bringing in all the help they can get. I think you used all the keywords there. We're definitely talking about Gecko, who has the most adorable sidearms and wingmen, which I think really shake up the game interestingly. I mean, that's one of the things that really brings you back to playing Valorant, is every time they release something new that shakes up the game just a little bit.
Yeah, but I gotta say, Gecko, in terms of aesthetics, is one of my favorite agents already, so we'll see if the Broncos do decide to go with him. But, of course, we're going to just do a quick overview of how things are supposed to work here tonight. It is an NACE Star League match against St. Clair. Boise State and St. Clair are currently in the picks and bans stages for picks and bans for the stages they want to play on. And we've been seeing a lot of the classics in the last few weeks. A lot of Ascent, a lot of Haven.
We have seen a lot of the classics, and my best eavesdropping could understand us that we've got a little ban from Icebox, and we would love to see Windsor, Ontario, Canada played in an uncomfortable position. We'd love to play them in Ascent, which that's a classic one for us as well. We see that one pulled again and again out of the bag, so it's a comfortable place for us to be, and we'll probably set camp up there. Not something that we could say about Gecko, however, and that's something that we have to think about in the picks and bans. Anytime you have, sure enough, there's Ascent, there's Pearl, and there's the Icebox. Ooh, it looks like it didn't get banned after all.
Well, as you can also see, our coach, Doc Haskell, is giving the team pieces of advice before they start the game. And, if I were to guess what those keys to the game were, then my best guess would be to focus angles and flank, know your win condition, count cards and call abilities, and click heads. It's all brought to you by Drop-In Gaming, the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. Boise State going up against St. Clair in the NACE postseason. NACE is only one of the two tournaments the Broncos are still competing in, the other being NECC. Mountain West ended yesterday. Boise State also was done with VAL and CECC, so only two left to really keep the season going on as long as it possibly can.
That's very true. And speaking of as long as it possibly can, this will be a tight game, or at least we can hope so, because this is a serious foe that we're up against. Windsor, Canada's Ontario, Canada. Windsor, Ontario, Canada. St. Clair's top 10. That's in the whole, basically our hemispheres right here. This continent, top 10. That's a big deal for collegiate esports.
And Boise State has definitely had a very challenging season going up against very formidable teams. And so we're going to see really how much have they learned throughout this whole season. Because I was talking to Coach Moore, Valorant Coach Moore, before this game, and he was mainly saying, it's keeping those comms going, keeping your head in the game and not letting those comms fall silent. So we'll see how the Broncos do with that coordination as the game goes on, and it tends to go on like you hinted at in the game we had yesterday. It was 13-9 and 13-10, so these games aren't normally blowouts by any stretch of the imagination.
No, definitely not. That we don't want to drag too far into the overtime and get those brains run too far. We've definitely got them all hot and warmed up now, as it's important to have Doc's keys to the game and likewise warm-ups to kick off your routine. And routine is so important to get into the groove of every match. So the players are back there getting things nice and smooth so we can dive into these beautiful sites. Here's a little glide through of one today that we'll be going to first, Ascent, in its most 3D of models before we tear it all up with a quick little bullet hell.
Yeah, of course, as opposed to those 2D Valorant maps that we're all used to. But this is a true classic. You got the wallbang location, you got the very wide open mid where an op can just rule, and we've seen Skies do pretty well on the op and has consistently been top fragger, so I wouldn't be surprised if we just see his standard jet pick for Boise State. In fact, last time they played on this map, it was kind of an even, it was a mirror matchup between all the agent picks, and that's really just kind of a testament to how well this stage is known. I mean, everyone knows the standard strategies, and it's often just mirrors down to pure technical skill.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing. These life cycles that every map goes through, it kind of goes through it one more time every time a new agent is dropped that might shake things up. And I really hope that we get to see that with fresh hands today, as a lot of these default positions might get twisted just a little bit, as Wingman may or may not be able to reach them from where it's best to shoot him out, as he wants to be able to defuse or plant spikes accordingly. So we could see the game played a little bit differently if we see new agents on the field, and there's always the threat of seeing a different agent structure in each team play it. So it's never all determined ahead of time, which is why we play the games, but you're right, this one is pretty figured out. It has a little bit of everything, and I'd love to see it all showcased.
Boise State just about ready to head up against St. Clair. Picks are coming through for the agents, and we will see very soon if indeed this is a repeat of all the Ascent matches we have had beforehand. Normally we see a Jet, and in terms of the Sentinel, KJ is usually pretty locked down as the go-to pick. So really have the opportunity to maybe see, I don't know, maybe you could see a little bit of variation in maybe the initiators, I would think.
Yeah, it's always good to see a Sova here. Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, Sova's just a solid pick here. Everybody knows where the good drone spots are, and there's been some wild reflections off of ambient architecture way off in the distance. Brings in a lot of value to a good fly cam, as those lineups can be beautiful.
Although JBag has been playing a lot of the KO lately here on Ascent.
KO on Ascent is a fun one. KO has enough, Ascent has enough texture that it's not painful to play CSGO style on. You know, there's still weapon value in all the shorts places, like the hell underneath the heavens and around some tight corners that you could see a lot of shotguns be available, as well as wide open spaces and all those heavens that you can play off of that make the ops valuable. And sometimes, honestly, in my opinion, it's painful to play against a KO on a map that doesn't have that kind of texture, that kind of variety, because then everybody just stands in a medium distance with a Vandal, and it's just 10 paces, turn around and shoot.
Oh, Boise State is certainly strategizing as much as they can, waiting to go up against St. Clair, just trying to give some final words of encouragement to each other. We also have seen many situations where Ascent can, just in the pure variety that it has, Boise State can get pretty expensive in their gun tastes here. We both going for an Op and an Odin at the same time. Wanting to hold down kind of the different locations of B and A, respectively. A and B, respectively, I should say, for the Op and Odin. Okay, now we can see the picks that go through, and we actually do see a Gecko is being brought out.
A Gecko on the side of St. Clair. We're going to get some overhead sight as Sushi gets very forward. Alden's going to take him from the side. That's just bad corner checking. Ooh, but they've checked this one out. Rariana getting a couple shots to the face-off to let him live a while, but not long enough. Skies is able to find one, but they do take Rariana and then Daimyo. It's a fast round, but a fast-paced first round is what we expect from these gun rounds. The spike has been seen, I believe, and Boise State is going to leave it anyways. Just leaving it behind. They're going for an all-kill this round. They don't think it's worth it. Backing up just a little bit. St. Clair coming around the side as we see the names start to trickle in. This is St. Clair 4-tapping.
He's the only one who's at full health right now, which isn't insignificant in a pistol round. It looks like it might have just been a fake out for the Broncos. They still seem to want to play around the spike, might be trying to pick it up. Maybe get St. Clair rotating far enough over to B
revealing area
so that they can move through their own spawn.
Sometimes it feels like a quick little boxing match, a little MMA action when all the short hits come through and then none of the grapples work and they got to back up and just feel it out and go back to quiet. Just trying to get a sense for what the other player's thinking. And we've made it to that stage. A couple fall on either side and we're down to these 2v2. They're making their way to B site and St. Clair's ready to accept that push. Just checking these angles diligently with the Ghost. making their first steps on. Going to send it to full
Last
sprint, just
player
try to
standing.
take fast, but so quickly. Four tapping and Gub both find their one. And with a couple of one-shots from a distance, St. Clair takes a 1-point lead.
Ultimately tried to play a few mind games by taking that rotation through mid, but St. Clair really didn't budge from their defensive positions on B. And now they have the opportunity to get a few better guns. It looks like it's mostly Spectres and one Ares being brought out, traditional machine gun location on B.
Yeah, a fairly typical startup. No big reaches for anything they don't deserve quite yet, showing that they do think, there we go, sure enough, that their utilities are critical and important. So we're going to see a little bit of utility dependence here to try to calm this push, but it's not quite enough. Q, our special player for the day that I have my eyes on, is going to take one down before going down, and Sushi is going to return the favor, leaving Boise State down a player as they try to find a split push after picking up the spike onto this A site. Ariana at least feeling it out with the jet in hands.
Normally in this situation, you want to get maybe 3 frags at the very least to put enough of a dent in the other team's eco. At least they can pull that off, but they take some fire from the side. Sky's going to go down to 82. He dashes into Generator. No peaks coming out from St. Clair quite yet.
Last player
And the
standing.
fury of the Spectres and one Phantom secures it for St. Clair.
That is a tough one, and I think maybe we could see this warm-up still coming in and still getting into the flow state of it. I mean, Sky's, his sensitivity shows us that it's difficult for him to 180 when he's being attacked from behind and let one defender slip, but it wasn't enough, even despite that sacrifice, to finally hone down the last kill or two shooting from hell. So I'd love to see Boise State get a little bit quicker on the gunplay, because that was almost a very, very good dent, and we could see a decent bonus round here as Boise State can buy up and play against St. Clair here.
Dart goes out. That's a ping on a few of the Broncos, and already some of that Ares chip damage is coming out. Broncos are gonna think twice about maybe going through Fish Market. There goes a shock dart thrown out.
They know they're still under fire, dare I use the metaphor, but at least being watched by these two players here. They've kind of triggered the alarms and they're going in after anyways. Skies to jump straight in to that Cloudburst J-Bag, fighting from the other side. A beautiful corner check is going to find one, and Aldem the other. It's all Boise State on the left side of the activity feed. Aldem getting the plant deep inside the mud already. 2 back in the boathouse. St. Clair only 2 left to make their way downtown. That's 1 gone. Daimyo spilled newly with the I-hat, and it's a team ace for Boise State.
Now, this situation, you're normally kind of expecting to win since you got the Phantoms and Vandals against what are usually SMGs. But it normally is kind of a question of how much do you win it by. And Boise State pulling off a team ace and a flawless at that are going to be getting as many credits as they possibly can.
Interesting that we've seen a very respectful match as St. Clair and Boise State kind of bow to each other and then back up and play correctly with all the rules in place. I mean, we see no weird reaches with any strange guns. We don't see any wild ideas. It's typical spike in the pocket, get to default, defend it. And we've seen this win-lose-win going, bringing us to the 2-1 that we usually see, considering the bonus mechanics. Alden's going to be leading the push in on A side. It's a little bit of a spread this time. 2 pushing into A, and they're being pushed back. St. Clair arguing for ground. It's not going to work, though. Aldem to find 1 and stands his ground. Enough of a prep to start fighting for ground back in the other direction.
It's a really good opening for Boise State. They're going to get plenty of time that they can decide which way they want to go to plant the spike. Might have to only go up potentially against 1 agent on B. The Sova is still trying to hold things down. We see him placing a recon dart out, trying to get any sort of ping he can. He's going to get smoked off, and that clears things for Boise. A dash in on the tailwind, close the door. One grenade's going to come out. Sky's just going to muscle his way right through that, and the plant's going to come out.
Yeah, I like how you said the beauty of the opening here is that now Boise State has the most decisions. And we can see Skies just down to muscle memory. every round that we've seen him attack so far on B at this game, he's sprinted right in, closed the door, and had his eyes set on a very thin opening in the backside.
Oh, that wingman got mowed down.
Q does fight back with it, yep.
Yep. We're going to have a pseudo 2-on-1 if you throw him out. Crosshair placement is right on point for Rariana. There's now 2 left for the Broncos.
Last player
Still time
standing.
on the spike, and Emu with the Odin. Raining a lot of fury down, but Rariana, I mean, this is the agent that you want. You can stall out a lot on the KJ.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, there's one left. He gets it! Clutches! Not going to be able to get away from the spike explosion, but it's still a round win.
Yes, a round win indeed, and a big one. I mean, that prevents this buy-loss back and forth as Boise State finds their second point and just barely stretch for it. Rariana doing excellently here, just having a golden, clean crosshair placement to find one that makes their way around.
Emu was also really impressive on St. Clair, the way he just called out Boise State's positioning, picked up a double with the Odin wallbang.
We're not equal.
But the main thing to keep in mind is because that Odin is pretty up there in cost, St. Clair is going to be forced onto an eco for this next round.
Yeah, that's what makes that last round so critical. Now Boise State can play a little bit looser, but they're going to do just what they did last round and play nice and spread out. It feels like they won a small battle on A side and were able to reallocate some of these funds in the form of agents. Move back to the other side without committing anywhere. Today, or I should say this round, a little bit tighter. They just feel out for any aggression brought on by St. Clair, and it's not there, so it's back to the A site.
Deploying drone.
Very typical so far. Aldum, seeing less than he usually does, can go further than he usually can. Still none.
And there goes the Thrash being brought out toward Boise State. Skies is going to get detained off of it. Knife is going to be thrown out as well. The rest of the Broncos have his back. They try to attempt the lineup with the mosh pit. Boise State doesn't take too much damage from that.
Interesting, because this can change the win con. If they don't want to deal with that Thrash again, they can sit right on top of this one and make sure it's not picked up in time.
There it wears away.
Yeah, that's the first real taste we've gotten of the action so far.
30 seconds
Getting
left.
a little bit of that mosh pit too.
Oh my goodness. Sees him right in the back, and that Jet tries to tail him away. Skies is able to secure the win. Gets hit by the Dizzy. The rest of the Broncos go charging in. Q doing work on the Sheriff. Picks up a triple. Someone
Last player
stop this
standing.
guy.
Rariana's going to be the one to do so. Now Boise State with an easy plant. Now just have to hold it down. Daimyo last alive, and he doesn't know very much. Tries to play into one. Oh, and
my
down
goodness.
at the very
It
last
was
second.
a spray battle.
Unreal. He did have to shoot through the elbows of one man to get to the second, though, so Daimyo doing well with what he had is going to be voided away as Emu gets the plant
Sacrifice for nothing.
defused.
That's a huge thrifty for St. Clair. Boise State
Keep
is
them in our sight.
most likely going to be able to get rifles for one more round.
But what a strong play from Q.
Boise State does have a little bit to eco with here. They do have the Blade Storm that they can use. Actually, one Bulldog is being purchased by Oldham, so not quite a full buy.
Not quite a full buy, definitely an eco. Leaning on that Blade Storm. A signature eco move that can only be played in the 5th round by people who have been getting their one. This guy's going to play hot and fast with it. Doesn't find anything, though. Sushi is going to win the battle and go on to fight another one. Rariana, that's some top players from Boise State already taken down. Boise State now has disconnected from the fight, and they have some options. They can try to re-hit, but St. Clair could be ready for it. They could also turn around and try to re-hit somewhere else. It looks like they're seriously considering both options, which is always a scary fence to have a foot on either side of. Sure enough, with 2 still in mid, Aldum's going to wait for any extra aggression and just hold this corner. Reload noise is coming out, though.
Moves through the smoke and is able to catch that Omen off guard.
Nasty little play by Allman, and Daimyo and another Nectar Woods is going to find one as well, and TP's right back over. It's a re-hit. They staggered 2 players off of St. Clair, and one moved all by themselves. Is this the redemption of this round for Boise State? They all try to hit together, closing in on one person. The location revealed, they're able to find him. Sushi,
30 seconds left.
the foe of the round, which has already done so much damage and gotten away, is now coming with Q, last round star.
Right here.
Can Boise State fight and stave them off.
He's going to throw in the wingman. That gets taken out. Dizzy also thrown out, and the Dizzy just as a distraction. Boise State still has 2-on-1, and this Gecko is hanging on by just a thread. One bullet, one mean glare in the wrong direction, and he is going to fall.
And against two players where all he has is Jiggle Peek, his options are low, and those last couple of HP are worth more than his gun. So he will be retreating for the save, and Boise State may fall to the spike, but they will take the round, bring it to a clean 3-3.
They are being very, very cautious. Just able to... No, Damio still falls to the
With
spike.
the shadow step, he tries to get out, but it's not quite there, and you can see him.
Oh, but it's still a win, and the Broncos now, despite losing their Thrifty, are going to be going into round 7. No clear victor yet, so we were a little bit worried about St. Clair, you know, top 10 team, but Boise State is going toe-to-toe with them so far.
And Q sending in the wingman so that people paid attention, so that he could then pull out the classic dodgeball move of tossing the Dizzy way up into that nice big lob with no intention of using it, and it's just crosshair distraction to get serious damage out was beautiful. I mean, he dumped his kit for that attack, and it's a shame that it didn't go through, but Boise State will capitalize on it. A big push right through as we don't see the Omen smoke lets us know that A is empty. It's a big push from St. Clair on the wrong side of the map, and Boise State capitalizes on it so fast.
Molly's going to be thrown out almost toward
A little low.
It's Hunter's Fury. It takes
Spike
out
down
Odom
A.
before the spike can go down.
A good
State.
reason to know where default is.
There goes a lockdown as well. St. Clair's trying to put all the pressures that they possibly can onto Boise State. Who swings around, trades 1-for-1. A dual bunch of spray going out through Gardens. Yu takes
Spike
out
down
Skies.
A.
There's just
Last
one
player
left for the
standing.
Broncos. Ariana trying to bring this back. Maybe can just pick up the one frag off of 4-tapping.
He kind of has the element of surprise moving in so quickly after such a devastating event, but not anymore as they find him. He's able to turn around and find one. Right in his face, though, mid-air, the shorty comes out and Q takes it in a clutch event on health.
Difficult
look
place
like
to
us,
be in.
but
You're in a
are they
2-on-1 and they're pinching
So
you up
many
from both
questions.
sides. He did land a pretty clean 180. So, given the circumstances, he did just about as well as he could.
I mean, it was a difficult call whether to play offensive or defensive on that lockdown placement. The spike is right there, and if you guys flee the site, then WinCon has changed. You can't re-hit anywhere else. They really have decided that they wanted to play A, and the lockdown is right there. So they decided to play offensive and just kind of got trapped in that box because an ult had just been called, and all eyes were on the one doorway.
Suppress gets thrown out, and the blind.
A lot of pre-round action tends to happen in this A hallway. And I mean, the one time it didn't, Boise State went flying into A site. It's been a point of contention for this match in particular.
Trying to have the crosshair placement lined up, but Young also has it locked in. Takes it out.
Last player
Sheriffs are
standing.
just not hitting today as Aldom and Daimyo go down as well. Sorry, Aldom's still up. 4-tapping to close it out, bringing into a 5-3. Boise State slipping just a little bit, but they're fighting so well when they do fight well. I'd love to see them pull a little bit of extra out the bag.
I think they can definitely this round, as that last round was a save. They will be able to match the rifles of St. Clair this round. But also, it's not just the, not just the rifles of St. Clair that they got to worry about. There, Sova is hanging out conspicuously on B with another expensive Odin choice.
Yes, he is very angled at that wall, and we've already got some pings on it saying, be careful. Look at that stance, so much damage right off the bat.
He basically negates the
You
shield
should
that
run.
this guy has. Lockdown's going to be placed. Trying to clear out
Lockdown
players.
destroyed.
It is going to be destroyed thanks to the mosh pit.
Oh, Sky's decent on the flick, but not quite good enough. Zushi to take it. Daimyo on a beautiful response to make it a 1v1 and conquer the territory. And that's a big thing, too. The 1v1 can be in your favor because you're the last one alive in an area that was contended. So he is just going to hold that down and kind of create a fence that makes getting out of B a little bit more difficult as Rariana is going to push it from the other side. Emu has been the serious problem and the real guardian of this site, though. And Q always a nuisance. So Rariana decides to move out from that site. And that backside watch in the form of Daimyo in market is going to disappear.
St. Clair, their defensive B has been pretty tentative
30
so
seconds
far.
left.
A lot of jiggle peeking, but not falling for that initial
Swarm grenade
engagement
out.
that Rariana found with that Gecko. He's been hanging down pretty. I mean, wants to make this Odin work out. He's going to start firing through the smoke. It's going to get answered back, so an even trade. Picks
Spike
up
down,
J-Bag
B.
with the wall bang. Spike is
10
going to be
seconds
dropped, but Damio is keeping things alive by making it 2-2. Both of them are on the point, which means that there isn't enough time to actually plant the spike, so the round goes over to St. Clair.
Defenders just winning on the timer there as we're unsure whether to go to A or re-hit B. Finally, the re-hit to B comes out, but Emu was just so strong in his position and fended off against 3 different waves of attacks. I mean, the initial one with the lockdown, which he was able to take through the wall, the second following soon after, and finally fell on the third, but these Guardian-style anchor positions that we really expect from J-Bag on our side, which I would love to see on our side defense here in the next half, is being an issue for Boise State.
Few rifles, but mostly stingers.
Enemy tag.
Few initial peeks are going to go out through A. Owl drone thrown out through the
Scanning
choke
ahead.
point. And a dart. Trying to get a ping here or there. Doesn't really get anyone, so Boise State still commits to their push on A. Now, Manhole's going to be popped. That's the green light for Boise State to move in, but J-Bag taken out by Gub. Maybe if Boise State can claim this, they're going to try to get the res out.
Rihanna fighting well to find another one. Daimyo saves J-Bag. Q is going to find all of them, though, but the bonus in weapons is important. When you're the down player in a gun match, winning is more than just a win because you have the gun with you. Sushi to find Skies, though. J-Bag hot in the crash as it comes out and then shot through the wall. It's so tough. What a tide turner that Thrash can be.
And St. Clair now goes up 7-3. It was an initial promising start for the Broncos, but now St. Clair, the best that they can hope for is going to be 9-3 Boise State. Probably count it as a pretty good victory if they were even out to 7-5, but that's going to be difficult because that was a full round, so it's probably back over. No, it was a half buy for them. They had a lot of stingers, which considering that wasn't the worst performance. So now that they all have Vandals, this is the main one they need to take it back on.
Hey, this is the fullest buy that we've seen so far. I mean, those ults, there's some close, some far. Only one is down, and they only got 50 or 100 creds in each pocket. So this is the round that matters.
You also have to be cognizant of where this op is going to be from St. Clair. It's the first round that we're really seeing their Jet being able to use an op. They've been on where Boise State throws out a bit of util in the defender spawn.
An interesting entry path. Coming in through Garden Hole, making his way down. Skies is going to find one. He was the catalyst in getting people through that initial punch point onto the B site, and now they are all in and planted, feeling cozy back in the boathouse, only on the downfall of one player now. Using up that ult they've had since the start of the round, St. Clair has got to find their greatest 4v4 here to take it back.
A lot of them are putting their focus into mid-market. If they don't turn around, they might be too fast. Rariana is going on a flank. This could be huge. Catch them in the back. And it's going to be good enough of a distraction for Boise State. He's calling out the location. That gives Boise State a chance to wallbang. Gets the Solvo with one tap. And Gub on top of that.
Unreal, and he was live for the reload on that too. Rariana doing excellent
Last
today.
round in the half.
And what a wild flank, just totally shut that down. You're right, they had all of their pennies in one pocket, all their eggs in a basket, trying to move through that mid-market, and were entirely distracted. Look at this division that Rariana can create.
Yeah, once he was able to set up in mid-market, St. Clair was in a very awkward position of trying to look both ways. If they looked over toward Rariana, then Rariana would call out their position, St. Clair's positioning to Boise State. They'd go for the wall bang.
Get out of my way!
Speaking of wall bangs, a lot of fire from this Odin already. Sushi is going to get the first pick.
Oh.
No, and just one ping is all that
Absolutely cornered.
all that St. Clair needs. Make Boise State's life very difficult.
Little bit more action. Daniel was able to take one down. Forward tapping
Spike
from a
down,
distance
B.
finds another. And it's
Last
becoming
player
more and more
standing.
difficult to force their way onto B here. He's going to opt just outside, try to grab the spike, takes a little bit of damage for it because he knows eyes are on it, but now he has some options. And they have to respect those options as he drops a smoke into mid. They know he can't ult out, but they don't know whether he'll play up or back.
There goes another dart. Damien hiding behind the corner. Make sure he doesn't want to get pinged with it. And gets hit with more of the spray from this Odin. He's going to be brought down to half health, just 55 left.
Going out.
Goes out
30
front of the
seconds
smokes.
left.
Teleports over to the other side.
Stealing sight.
Goes out there finding, and tapping is just waiting there to close things down. Now that's going to be the end of the first half. St. Clair leading 8-4.
A whole lot of work to try to grab just that little tail end of the round, but it just wasn't going to be there.
Boise State is now going to be moving over toward defense, and you got to think at this point, it's going to be a game of how big of an error margin does Boise have, because if whoever gets the standard win off of the pistol round, this could either become a game that's kind of been reset in a way, it's only apart by 2, or St. Clair could go all the way up to 10, and once you hit those double digits, and that means that Boise State isn't going to have too many rounds that they could possibly eco with.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like the first half is setting a timer and seeing how many mistakes you've been allowed as the game changes. But now Boise State has set the table and they need to eat off of it. It is 8-4 and their options are laid out in front of them. Boise State playing on the defensive, like to play forward with that defensive instead of relying on wall sprays. Ooh, are going to be standing right up in the pits of its skies, trying to find something ahead of time. Does get one, but it's a 1-for-1. And Daimyo already assailed with utility. Boise State taking a little bit of pepper damage all over the board. St. Clair, a clean 4, moving back down the A hallway.
St. Clair looks like they're going to be keeping their options open by smoking off mid and maybe going for a very slow rotation on it. This Gecko might just be waiting. Oh, they're going to come in through Gardens, and 2 of them are posted up there. Tapping gets a headshot onto J-Bag. Damio trades out with Gub. There are 2 left for the Broncos. Shock Dart doesn't find anyone. And now moving up toward
Revealing
Heaven.
area.
Closes
There
the
they
door
are.
out. Gets a ping onto 1. Not insignificant.
Player standing.
But it's just not enough. He's right in the middle and there's so much fire to be made. Rariana now trying to take
planted.
it 1 chip at a time. Just doing a little bit of shotgun damage with the alt fire on the Classic, but the timer's still ticking. And it's on St. Clair's clock.
Now a very awkward situation and play for Rariana, but he gets a head tap for 1. This other St. Clair, this KJ, is down very low on health. I don't know if Rariana knows, but he's down to the most health right. Well, that's changed, so now it's a bit tougher.
But he's made it out of way at that little pinch point, and now he can move one at a time, take them on a 1v1. It's not going to be there, though, and Emu knows it's a short game and is able to alt fire for it, and
Scanning
there's
ahead.
the spike. He was low on clock anyways, and Rariana did an excellent job, and I love seeing this perseverance out of Boise State, showing that they understand how important a game is when we see, 2 players now in 2 different events holding on for like a minute or 2 after everyone else is gone.
St. Clair's going to go with much the same loadout they did last time. We're seeing a lot more teams these days favoring going 1 or 2 ARs on the second round. Try to make their situation going into the bonus a little bit more fortuitous.
Yeah, plays a little bit higher risk, higher reward as they go further into the long game. Speaking of high risk, high reward, Boise State going to play the same little gimmick that St. Clair played a while back. Boise State saw it instantly, immediately when it was their chance, and ran straight onto site. But now on the reply, they're playing the full
Spike
game,
planted.
giving them the whole site and moving all the way around. Now, St. Clair becomes the defender.
But this Sova already has the sideline back into their own spawn, so he's going to be able to pull out the safe position pretty soon. And tapping just kind of turns around and takes care of that potential flank.
Last
He gets
player
up a
standing.
triple, and just one Bronco left. JA tries to get one shot, a headshot, but ultimately not hardly any damage placed onto that Gecko. So Boise State is downward to that position that I was kind of warning about at the beginning of the half. They've only got, you know, 2 rounds that they can lose. I mean, they got 3 strikes now.
Right.
Now we're playing a game of 3 strikes, and they need to win a whole lot of rounds with.
Yeah, 9. So they need a 3-to-1 ratio for the rest of the match. And it's not good moving in, as St. Clair just took first round in the round after. Boise State is scheduled to take this round. They've got to do it strong. They want to make that in to a 6. So Boise State and St. Clair both kind of fighting at the saddle here. So much utility and so much positioning is very forward. St. Clair backing up just a little bit, but still holding that main hallway, and Rariana just doing some threatening damage.
You should
before
run.
getting in a quick reload.
Here.
Hacker KJ. He tried to destroy the door to guard. Get out. I don't think Alden can get out. 2 of the Broncos are caught in that.
Ooh, but Daimyo, the single one left. An interesting play here. Boise State doing well to leave one person down just in case, and Daimyo takes
Spike
2
down,
before going
B.
down. Boise State now can get a quick rotation out, and only 1 behind them in the form of St. Clair.
Tains have worn off, and St. Clair just has 2 left, and the spike has been planted
One
down.
enemy remaining.
A whole lot of fire.
30 seconds
exchange.
left.
Emu is able to trade 2 for 1. Still within the possibility. And gets the headshot. J-Bag to close it out for the Broncos.
Is everyone's tech still working? Double check it, please.
A great crossfire there to take out the one foe that got 3K beforehand. Emu is just proving himself stronger and stronger. Like, not necessarily a first blood
Placing swamp
firing
grenade.
out from the
Placing swamp
stalls
grenade.
playstyle, but definitely top frag material with the way he just anchors down. St. Clair tried to play tricky there, but was shut down. Tried to use a lockdown on A side, a loose lockdown, to leave people on site. And then rotate to A, but now all the way in. Alden from the side angle taking some serious damage as he tries to play. Sneaky in, just tricking 1 at a time. Gub finds 1, Q another.
Spike planted.
Under threat of the Hunter's Fury. Rariana is going to start the good fight back. Backed by Skies, making their way across the heaven.
That smoke drops.
Last player
I was
standing.
going to say when it drops, they're going to have 2 people on the other side of it, but we might not even get to that point, as Daniel is the only one. Dart thrown out. Gonna get pinged. It gets immediately wall banged after it.
Yeah, getting pinged behind that wall is just scary. You've got to be so fast to get rid of it as well. It's not like the early round darts, which are pretty well lined up and pretty well foreseeable. Mid-round darts are a little bit more difficult to deal with.
Boise State is going to be going for a bit of a save. Skies has brought out the Bucky. And it looks like they're kind of planning for the next round.
Hopefully. They only have that next round, though.
Placing swamp grenade.
Oh, a big blind thrown out onto the Broncos.
Oh yeah!
Is going to wear
Monster
off
on the
their
loose.
heads out the thrash. And it heads over to the side.
Just checking things out. That is one of the nice things about there being 2 thrashes. You
Placing
can
swamp
use it
grenade.
only half as importantly as you
grenade
would
out.
the first time. Now they know there's no one in Graves, and it didn't cost them very much.
Oh, and
Oh,
the
unless
Bucky to take him out.
Placing sentry.
Yeah, so Q doesn't even get to use that second half. 7 ult points gone down the drain, and St. Clair has 1 sitting on the spike from a distance. Boise State still not even offended enough on A site to shake back out. They still have people in B and in the very, very spawns of mid.
In a way, Boise State employed the same strategy as if the spike was dropped in that location. They knew that eventually that Gecko would come through trying to pick up that Thrash, so they just
Placing
closed the
alarm
distance
bot
and
down.
made that Bucky work out.
Here.
Now a bit of fire from the turret. Brianna backing up. Going to get caught out and gets a pick through the spray. That's going to charge up the
30
lockdown.
seconds
He's going to
left.
place that down.
Boise State kind of changing their pace here,
Spike
putting
planted.
all of their money in. Spike's getting planted, but it's already down. This can make for an easy defuse. They're going to play out a little bit faster pace than you usually wait for a Killjoy to go off. As one goes in for the defuse, the other three just create some flesh armor to just create a distraction, make noise, and throw bullets down. Emu and tapping to take one, Daimyo to find two, and now going back into the defuse. They've already got the half, so much damage out. It's unbelievable. 4-tapping to get a 4K. He's unreal. 1 ult point left.
Match point.
We may very well see another lockdown this
Gutsy
game.
play. We kind of saw the protect the president there. One person serves as the bodyguard to the other one sticking. The only problem is that it ultimately turned into a collateral just the way they lined up for tapping. So got good play, but unfortunately it doesn't work out. And St. Clair's now at the match point with Boise State in a really awkward purchase. Gonna have 2 Guardians. No rifle at all.
An awkward purchase indeed, especially considering that we had thought that last one was a save. Really gambling for this round. A couple through the wall as J-Bag is going to take some aggression, popping out the Spectre to try to cross-aim with Aldum, as all of St. Clair's troops are coming straight in through the middle. Aldum does not see this man on the side, and Skies is going to take Gub down with that ult. Last chance to use it, and he uses it well, taking out Emu. Big names on the St. Clair team.
More knives thrown out, has to tailwind out of there, and Sushi comes up from the side. And is able to whittle
Last
Broncos
player
down
standing.
to just
Spike
2,
planted.
now 1. Daimyo once again the last player left.
Daimyo tries.
Attackers
And
win.
that's the first one. GGs are out. Boise State has a better understanding of how they're going to play, but is it enough to carry them into a second map?
Well, that's going to be the ultimate question. We're going to be looking at the second game after this break. We'll see if the Broncos can bring it back. St. Clair proven to be the tough opponent that we were expecting them to be. So we'll take a short break, be back with Game 2. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be back with more Valorant.
All this time you put in, summer, fall, morning, afternoon, now's your time. You're right here. You've done all the work. Now just make it happen. You have to earn your stripes. We can't win unless we're the most physical team. You have to earn it. Let's lock in. This is it. Go, go, go! You want to stay in this court? We're not giving you anything. You earn it. Get back! Get back! Hit deep. This is the time right now. Can't put it off until tomorrow. Minutes on the clock. This is where you gotta be at your best. You've been practicing all summer. Now you gotta make it happen. Now get a stop. One time, get a stop. It's now or never.
I had, and it's a team ace for Boise State.
This situation. And it's now 2 left for the Broncos.
Last player
Time
standing.
on the spike, and Emu with the Odin. Emu making Fury down. But Brianna, I mean, this is the agent that you want. You can stall out a lot on the KJ.
One enemy remaining.
there's one left. He gets it, clutches. Are putting their focus into mid-market. If they don't turn around, they might be too fast. Mariana is going on a flank. This could be huge. Catch them in the back. And it's going to be good enough of a distraction for Boise State. He's calling out the location. That gives Boise State a chance to bang. Gets the Sova with one tap. And Gub.
All this time you put in summer, fall, morning, afternoon, now's your time. You're right here. You've done all the work. Now just make it happen. You have to earn your stripes. We can't win unless we're the most physical team. You have to earn it. Let's lock in. This is it. Go, go, go! You want to stay in this court? We're not giving you anything. You earn it. Get back! Get back! Think deep. This is the time right now. Can't put it off until tomorrow. Minutes on the clock. This is where you gotta be at your best. You've been practicing all summer. Now you gotta make it happen. Now get a stop. One time, get a stop. It's now or never.
Welcome back to the Boise State Esports Arena. We're currently covering NACE Valorant as the Broncos are going up against St. Clair in this international Valorant match, if you will. United States versus Canada, and St. Clair has currently won the first stage on Ascent, and are now going to head in to the next stage, which Icebox is waiting in a third. So
It will
not
be,
gonna
so
see
it's
that.
straight to Pearl now.
Yep. So Pearl, you know, we haven't seen too much of it. Normally the teams are favoring the OG map, so we're going to see what the Broncos have planned for Pearl. I'm your host, Jacob Palmer, joined by Greg Smith. Now, do you think we're going to see a run it back by St. Clair in terms of the get-go? Because that's what we were talking about when this broadcast first started.
Yeah, I would love to, and I'd love to say things like, once you find something, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Once you find something great, keep using it. But the problem about changing the place that we're playing on, it changes who we might want to play with. But I do happen to know that Gecko is a strong player on Pearl, so I would definitely see Pearl coming back. I know that Peter loves to play Pearl with Gecko, so yeah.
Well, the Broncos looking to pick up the pieces after a bit of a tough round on Ascent to start things off. They were able to take a few rounds away from St. Clair, but it was ultimately, I think, still 13-5 in the end. So pretty sizable victory for St. Clair. But they are one of the top 10 teams in the nation, so we knew this wasn't going to be necessarily the easiest matchup.
And as always, 13-5 doesn't tell the whole story. We saw so many tight games and so many clutches and so many like 1v2s or 1v1s to finish it off. So many good plays, little save the president situations where almost could have been there if not for a couple here-there circumstances. So maybe this is the preparation that we need to pick the pieces up.
You can see Doc Haskell giving them his sage advice before the round starts. May actually be giving them some sage advice and telling them to pick the sage. I don't know how well that's going to work out on Pearl, but we'll see. Doc's keys to the game in Valorant, though, are to focus angles and flank, know your win condition, count cards and call abilities, and, of course, click heads. It's all brought to you by Dropping Gaming, the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Dropping Gaming has the right games and competition for you.
Maybe they had just not considered clicking heads, but now that that one is reiterated and locked in, they are ready to go. So the computers are all warmed up. Doc is taking his leave from the stage, and there they are, our 5 players of the game.
See them lined up one next to the other.
In perfect fist bump distance. And we've got the face cams on. Look at those gorgeous little cameras. Be featuring all of our players throughout the game. Considering some maskless
that
Viper,
is some great
perhaps.
cinematography. Look at that angle. That is bravo. I salute you, camera person.
Yeah, plenty of cameras are all on them. It is tonight's match. Like you said, an international game as Windsor, Ontario, Canada is featuring their St. Clair, the SEC Valorant team.
Which Doc made sure to tell us is actually south of Detroit.
That is true. Yeah, they're poking out a little bit, and it's interesting. The Canada American border does some funny things like that. So they're not exactly our northern rivals.
Yeah, that is true. Although from our situation, you know,
They are.
they still are. Maybe not by a whole bunch of degrees of latitude, but still technically.
Here is a sneak peek onto Pearl. The one key difference is it won't have 10 excellent Valorant gunmen on it quite yet.
Pearl ultimately has been pretty stable so far since its release. We haven't seen too many changes or huge reworks of it.
Yeah, and interesting we talk about the meta being the need for that kind of a shakeup. I wonder if we'll see Harbor we're going to have today from the St. Clair side, so no more Gecko. Boise State playing a typical team, save for the one controller that I don't get to see very often. Astra will be playing with Gravity Wells and Walls and all the star symboled utility.
I do like seeing these types of matches where the picks are a lot more diverse between the agents.
Diverse indeed. We have only 2 mirrors here.
Boise State going to be starting to attack first. Throw out the Trailblazer, and immediately this guy's going to try to get into his face. He dodges the blind. And another blind comes out. It's going to hit the Broncos this time. And St. Clair already picks up 2. Boise State gets 1. Now they're down 4-2. Ariana
Last player
going to
standing.
have to go past the Viper wall. St. Clair is going to win that first one.
A fairly fast first round. I don't think Boise State was quite expecting that pacing or that distance, as we saw some utility go a little bit too far. Fun to have our first mirror fight of the map happen on the first round. That was Sky versus Sky, as Alden played against Emu, who played excellently on the initiator last round. We know Emu is comfortable behind the initiator controls, and did well as a near top fragger, but fell short, I believe, of 4-tapping last map. Boise State with another big split push, just feeling things out. Playing very cheap, very eco this round. Looking for a nice clean bonus. So they're just looking to make a dent here. The harbor wall is up.
It's a wall that spans across A main and Art as well, so both of the A routes were closed off for a bit of time. Now that it wears down, the Broncos are going to tentatively move through, but Sky's picks up a headshot, but not enough to beat the Spectre of Sushi, who's just waiting behind the corner. And he also gets one on to Damio. Satchel also picks up J-Bag.
Yeah, that is
You see that.
Blinded.
Yeah, the melee satchel doesn't happen very often. Aldum going to be moving back with Broriana behind this wall. Nice thing about this round we didn't have last time is the heal.
Last player standing.
It does turn around for a short bit of the heal, so
Spike down,
Broriana's not
attacker
in total full. It's an 80. He's got lots of Viper poison to work with. That's all he's got. Boise State a 1v3, and he's right in front of the spike, getting very aggressive
30
on by
seconds
Harbor.
left.
Tries to pull off the right click. A few bullets land, but it only takes Sushi down to half health. Now we get. What is with the cinematography production? Camera people, you are on it right now.
Beautiful.
I love this. This is so dramatic.
The gatekeeping statue holding the pearl above all else to guard this underwater city
See, there's
that
such-
gets Dish TV. That's crazy.
There's such symbolism here. You know? it's just so. I need to rewatch this over and over to
The
find
lore,
the true
yeah.
meaning. Lore.
I'm gonna pick out all the JoJo's references.
Well, I don't think there's much time to deconstruct the lore of the round right now, because St. Clair's getting it right in the faces of Boise State going up B long.
Indeed, they are this bowling alley where the pins have been brought to you. Boise State having to fight right at the gates, decide to turn around and reevaluate their decision of attack. And they're seriously considering a hit onto the A site. St. Clair, though, considering a bit of the same as they even out, shake down those defenses. Allocating quite a few from mid in case there's a forward push, just to give them some springiness in their decision making. They can go towards either B or A. But the funnel has been angled, and St. Clair is pretty well posted up. Boise State going in for the re-hit. It's beautiful timing.
Get out of there.
Just almost. Sky's taking not too much damage, loses quite a bit of shield, and as does J-Back, but their health still fairly unsinged. It is going to be a positional change from St. Clair as they come rushing through mid to make their way downtown to B. As Boise State has already got the spike down and crosshairs locked. Just some jiggle peeking and listening well. The Viper ball is going to go up from Boise State's side. A little tricky as it kind of divides the site, makes it easier to live, but harder to get to the spike.
Oh, a bit of a rough spray from Alden. It's going to be a rifle down. And the crossfire is just too much for the Broncos to overcome. St. Clair might lose their bonus round. It looks like that might be the case. They've got a bunch of rifles to pick up from the Broncos. J-Bag caught in the reload. And now St. Clair goes up 3-0 and will help themselves to all the guns Boise State purchased.
What a tough one. That timing on the Viper wall from St. Clair was impeccable every time on the ups and downs, and it was so difficult to play behind it or not play behind it. The Harbor wall did well to slow down a little bit of an attack here, but just comfortable to walk right through it when you know you'll be safe on that Viper wall. So they got a couple of tricky plays here. Boise State were able to find a few here, there, especially J-Bag from a distance, but as soon as Emu comes out, that was the round. A 3-0, it doesn't taste good, but Boise State's creds are growing fat. There is an eagle of a nest egg
Need that back.
waiting to happen. And as the Harbor Wall is going to cut through Art one more time, and the Viper Wall's up all the same. It's another shot. Skies.
Oh man, this
Judge.
KJ, you tell Boise State has been having a hard time dealing with it. I also got to really shout out their KJ last round. I mean, there were multiple times where Skies maybe fired a little bit, but their KJ was very disciplined and not letting those swarm grenades off until just the right moment. And Skies is going to try to fire at just the right moment, trying to land a headshot, but shot to the left and right is going to let Emu take him out.
He makes some decent damage onto one, and they're not willing to follow Daimyo down the rabbit hole, where he waits safely behind the tripwire. Boise State did just down a player, finds one back, Aldum.
One problem is that with both teams having the Sky available, if you don't take them all out in one go, then they can be healed back up, as is the case with St. Clair's Rays. Seekers gonna be finding out a bit more information for St. Clair. They're all grouped together
30
to be
seconds
pushing
left.
through Art.
Yeah, Rariana switching out a Sheriff for the Ion Sheriff is going to have to redo his work in a different pen, as he did so much damage onto a St. Clair player hiding behind the boxes, which, as you say, was just healed back up. It's a dynamically different game now. There is a kind of timer that has to be on each of these kills. J-Back, though, getting in the plant and resetting the actual timer as St. Clair now pouring in through the backside. He's got to play against Boise State on the defense.
We said it's also going to set up the Astro Roll to make this retake even harder. They tries to dodge the blind. They trade one apiece. DU gets a pick onto J-Bag. It's now down to 2 apiece. DU now moves on to the point, has left it down to just one Bronco left. Rariana has the lineups ready. Just stall for time.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, lands a headshot.
Rariana doing.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough time for St. Clair to get it.
Oh, but it's so close.
That is very close.
A very dangerous game. Emu going to go down at Boise State to find their first point. A good thing to have in the pocket, and a well-played game by Rariana. Some interesting things. The playstyle that Q has is still an initiator style play style, but he's holding the controller now, and it gives you a taste of the difference between space holding utility on the offensive and on the defensive, or in preparation or in action.
Well, I would certainly hope that he's doing better if he's holding the controller now. That's usually the first step to actually winning a game.
No, the controller position.
I get what you're saying, but it sounded
No, he is finally found.
I think he might have a chance to win. He's actually holding the controller
The
now.
batteries are all full.
It's like the
in his
first time I taught
GameCube.
my little brother how to play a game.
He's just down to mashing the buttons now.
All right. Now getting back to serious, St. Clair leads Boise State by 2 rounds, but Boise State fresh off of their first victory, has a few ultimates that they might be able to use. It's all question if this is a Cypher, maybe he can get an early pick, or if this pick onto the Rays goes out through in A main, then that's a fairly safe position he can pick up the neural theft from.
Serious pushback on St. Clair, making Daimyo and Ko's position a little less friendly. Boise State just looking for an in, someplace to plant this spike. Like Frodo's ring, they would love to just ditch it and run. Considering walking down B as the walls are all up, or at least available and about to be up. Tapping, making that first contact with Rariana.
30 seconds
And
left.
Skies moving in, and suddenly all the vision denial is up, all of them getting in the plant. And it's the ult as well to drop.
Oda moving slowly through this Viper's pit. None of St. Clair is going to breach it, however. Get a go off from the side, and a nice flick. Boise State, though, tries to blind them. Gub is able to take out Oldham, but overall the trade's still working out in favor for the Broncos. 2 left.
Oh, so close to Skies. One of the last alive to fight, one of the last alive. Finally, the smoke goes down, and he's able to find it. 1 left, and the plant is so deep. Tapping, going on the defuse. He's tapping for it, but it's not enough. And J-Bag from around the side is going to make it a team ace, giving Boise State their second point of this map and bringing it a little bit closer to fair. Some excellent plays there. Unfortunately, we did not get to see the good-hatted Moroccan find any bodies to toss the ult to, as he was one in the first flurry of downs.
Yeah, it's always a shame when you can't find a place to use that Cypher ultimate. As Artie would say, you gotta respect the bald man. He's a scary figure once he comes out.
A scary figure indeed, because it means he knows where you are. Considering a B push against St. Clair, doesn't quite know that they're on the defensive side. It plays aggressive again to scare off Boise State, and it may have worked. A little bit of a scatter, sending him to mid, A side leaning, considering Art. J-Bag finding a safe place to set up some stars.
Obscuring vision.
Becoming the catalyst for Boise State to move straight onto A site despite the sentries that were set up in the style of Killjoy. J-Bag playing against excellently, finds two, feeling hot, moves up to the third as he takes out some of the top fraggers, and then their ults, all of them, the anchor to find one more, and that's it. What a landslide. Boise State just caught St. Clair off guard there.
I'm no
Moved
doctor,
brilliantly through the
but
ranks.
I can patch a bullet hole or two. Let me know if you need healing.
Well, everything has kind of fallen by the wayside now for St. Clair. They had a whole lot of credits based on the fact they won the first 3 rounds, but now that Boise State has rallied back with 3 wins of their own, St. Clair might be looking at some of their first ecos. And this, especially the fact that this KJ was completely neutralized by just one player. I mean, J-Bag picks up a triple for himself, is able to destroy the lockdown.
Were it not for Q's quick trigger, it would have been a flawless by Boise State. So, yeah, these creds have really shifted. Now, what a game as St. Clair this time not pushing up on the B side. Lets them take it, and Boise State will love to have it. The walls are going up, though, and St. Clair, coming around the outside, will need to deal with any tripwires they might get past. It's difficult to flank this composition. I mean, they're all set up. Several walls, a healer, and an excellent sentinel. Aldo running through the ranks with the Trailblazer, just checking things out. Daimyo controlling even more space. This very active sight denial is now right underneath the star, and as soon that drops, he owns the territory here, playing ahead, barely getting out of any damage.
No charges left.
Not pick up any of the Bronco Skies is holding things down.
I've got your
Moves
trail.
back into Hall. Boise State not going to use the
There's
Seekers.
another.
Last player
Oh,
standing.
right in the face. The
One
Sky is
enemy
still
remaining.
holding up. The blind from the Seekers goes out, and there's just enough time for St. Clair to defuse.
Absolutely wild. They were just swimming in vision denial. There was all so close. Incredible that they were able to keep comms and stay together on that one. St. Clair with only one left alive, and you have to remember, the actual players have so much less information than we do. There's no ghost images. They are just really fighting through this one. Phenomenal that players were able to keep such high health through so much of that storm. Down until a couple of eye contact locks and beautiful crosshair positioning. Got 2 for Skies before he went down after a quick dash out of the way when he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Leading to the end of the round, and a good one by St. Clair, though it was the furthest thing you can get from a flawless, which you can still call a win. So the cred damage is still being done as Boise State now looking with a beautiful buy-up to take this back to fair. A Trailblazer coming out not to find very much ground, and tripwires are already set.
You are divided.
Excuse me, Astro is going to be headed up. I got mixed up between the 2 characters that can throw up walls. Excuse me. In fact, there's 2 walls just kind of intersecting each other, making B a very sight denialed area, but it is all a trick. Boise State doing a bit of trickery. It's just a bait. Boise State moves over to A and gets the spike down.
Yeah, and look at this dangerous flank as the flank becomes the flanker. Who's going to take it? It's Zero. Rariana is going to find Sushi right in mid and in another neck of the woods. You're right. Although B's been sliced and diced, it's all A, and Q finds one but goes down fast. And Daimyo is able to 180 this one, no problem. He lets one get away, but the dismiss, oh. 4-tapping gonna find Daimyo. He gets a couple damage off, and it's enough to help as Aldum is gonna finish the job onto Iwu. 4-tapping to find Aldum.
One enemy remaining.
J-Bag to reply onto Grub, and the defuse is so close, he's just jiggling for it. Only a few HP left, he just needs the timer.
Doesn't have the
J-Bag gets melee with the corner, and he finds it. 5 health left, that's a beautiful clutch, and those are the ways the clutch need to fall. Stands outside to keep a gun into the next round, and Boise State bringing it to a nice and clean 4-4.
That round probably giving the Broncos the biggest boost of the night. They are raring to go. Daniel's now sitting back on the Neural Thefts. Guys also has the Blaze Storm available.
Gun here.
St. Clair, they're positioning a
Get
whole
out of
lot of
my way.
people
Need
in
that
B long.
Poison's off.
These guys is just trying to keep the sideline with these knives. Gub is already down to half health. That might force out the shield. Harbor Wall is going to be brought out, and Boise
Poison
State
orb
just backs
emitting.
off.
Poison's off.
St. Clair loves to play together and move straight down either A side or B side, and when Boise State picks the
Blocking
wrong
vision.
hand,
Concealment. Knocking them.
it gets a little sticky sometimes. They are going to be moving all the way back to A, try to get that plant and a lockdown defense before anyone's there, but St. Clair already has a player in mid. Yep, J-Bag. Proving that they're not going to do anything sneaky, play all the way through. But they're already setting up deep in the spawn. They may be dealing with something. Is Rariana going to play against this Pseudo Hookah? Players, he's already vulnerable. It just can't happen.
Oh, was surprise inside the sewers. Boise State has brought so much of St. Clair down to low health, but the heal from the sky is going to be so pivotal for St. Clair. Okay, J-Bag gets
Last
one
player
and
standing.
quickly gets taken out from back.
Daimyo, yeah, has the chance for something explosive, but something opposite of a cross-air placement there, or a sightline crossfire. St. Clair just has everyone point out and really protect the president on that one, and Boise State just can't get inside that harbor ball of water. Daimyo going to be calling the timeout as things on that last round were just not feeling right.
Boise State is keeping things a bit closer than they were last game. Now, remember the last round, I
Okay, I gotta get out of
was
CT.
7 and
I think
5
we might be
for
able to
that
go
last round. So Boise State, maybe they can beat the tempo a little bit for this round. Still within the realm of possibility that they could finish this ahead of St. Clair if they were to win these next 3 in a row.
Right, and it's a tough one to make happen, and it's definitely a tempo beating. It's a tempo brawl at this point, as we've seen timing be such a key point in so many of the turnovers here. And I mean, we know that our opponents love to play some interesting straight down one side of the mini-map and force everybody to either fight them headstrong and call the game right there, or go up the other side. And it makes it so that Boise State can't play this kind of spread out, smooth, everyone feel just around everywhere and get what information you can and then recollect and fight an unfair game, which they love to do. And we've seen them really take some surprise rounds that way, but it's just not an option they've been presented with sometimes.
State is going to now repurchase their rifles. St. Clair getting a win under their belt are going to be on rifles themselves. See how well that timeout worked for the Broncos.
Here.
Just throw the dart out for good measure. Show you don't need it.
Cage trigger.
Boise State playing very slow,
Cage
leaving
trigger.
everything on their clock, and now, with watches synchronized, go flying in. The defender Killjoy is up, though. It was a fast reflex.
It's a very early Killjoy, however.
It is indeed. I think they're just responding to the kind of play that they were tasting. Emu's going to find one on the skies. And then follow it up for another one. What a thorn in Boise State's side has Emu been.
Where is everyone hiding?
Daimyo
Boise
finally
State
Yeah, shedding that ultimate.
And immediately Boise State goes dashing for B.
And they're going to win the race to it. Clair has to regroup and consider how exactly they want to attack this, as Daimyo with the Phantom is up close, ready for a serious melee hit. He finds one, but it's just a 1-for-1 in an uncomfortable position, as Boise State still has one player off site. And J-Bag, the last Boise State player on site, is desperately trying to set up some vision denial and slow down the attack from St. Clair. But if they get on top of the spike, there's not a lot of options from a distance. The last Boise State player shooting down this hallway. And as the smoke drops, J-Bag takes an excellent 3 for a clutch finish. He didn't need any help. Alone on site after a fateful 1v1 by Daimyo, he sets up his own success. Absolutely beautiful.
None of them were expecting J-Bag to take this rotation around through Hall.
And that's exactly what St. Clair doesn't want to see after a good 1-minute conversation that Boise State has amongst themselves. Boise State proving they still have what it takes.
And what a flick there, just right onto the headshot.
Yeah, spray transfer, beautiful. Now Boise State
Also beautiful,
taking the reins.
the cherry blossom at the Parola Cafe.
It's scenic.
It is scenic.
This spread hold that Boise State has, just kind of testing the gloves. Jiggle peeks here and there as Q made the first contact with Alden. He's unsure, so he's going to send out Trailblazer. Sky's getting some contact as well, just catching the coattails before he disappears. Brings up the tailwind, considering.
Oh!
Cage trigger.
Dangerous staring contest.
Indeed, it's like playing so much whack-a-mole. Boise State still hasn't gotten any serious contact, but they have made eye contact a few times, catching ghosts in the dark. Shady figures just rounding the corner before you can pull the trigger. Boise State thinks they've gathered the information they need, or at least has burned the clock that they could have as they start to make their way down towards the site.
You are divided.
And we're going to see kind of this double wall strategy be brought out yet again. However, this time it's not a mere bait. Boise State is indeed going for the plant on B. And oh, those paint shells take out Oldham.
Yeah, we've seen some well-placed raised utility who doesn't just use it for mobility or in perfect moments, but uses it fast and dirty and gets extra damage where they can. Skies didn't want to handle the chip damage and be the only one up front into wider angles, so he falls back, and now all are behind the curved harbor wall as there's an easy defuse coming from Sushi.
Boise State is pinning the spike, however, nice flick over from Skies. My goodness! Look at him! He's able to trade 3 for 1!
Absolutely unreal. So many flicks. He was playing such a wide angle, attack from left and right sides, but he took every battle as a 1v1, and he took every battle. A simple close-up by the last two Boise State players here, bringing a beautiful 5-kill within seconds. I mean, look at this. You can fit it all in one recap. Sky's left as it falls. Sky's right, again through the middle, just looking for some spray damage. They've already got him, and Rariana J-Back to find their one and close out the round before the spike got to half. Unreal, the ferocity that Boise State's playing with finally to take the upper hand at 6-5, guaranteeing them at least a fair half.
Boise State's going to start things off with the Seekers.
Welcome to my
And they're also
world.
going to throw a Viper's Pit down onto the main entrance for A. J-Bag also St. Clair. Oh, look at that! That flick and then the spray. Oh, man, what an incredible spray transfer.
It feels like a different team. They're just playing so well. Daimyo on the hunt, looking for another one. Takes him mid-air to the jaw. Four-tapping, no chance. Boise State preserving their flawless. There it is. Absolutely excellent. 1 minute of quiet contemplation after a bathroom break is all they needed, and it's a 5-7. Boise State taking the upper hand, switching to Team Green on Pearl.
They're going to be finishing this half up 7-5. I only referenced it as an outside possibility, but all of a sudden Boise State has had such incredible reaction time and pinpoint accuracy with these headshots. and it secured them 3 straight rounds against St. Clair. They're now going to be moving into the pistol round with a swagger in their step.
It's important to talk now about momentum as we might see St. Clair tripping a little bit. I mean, hopefully we can really catch them off guard here, and we'd love to see Boise State just roll this one out to the finish and fight it out on a game 3, but we're not quite there yet. I'm ahead of myself. 1 round left to get, 5 points for Boise State, and St. Clair needs their 7 to bring us in to that 12 zone, that end zone, that red zone. St. Clair all on site with 1 big push to get through the first wall. If Boise State put up the defense they need to. Remember, taking this pistol round is very important for the next one. Gub is going to get aggressive with it. And Sushi already in for the plant. It could be difficult for Boise State's last 2 to find this one, but they're all in one place. Ready for the harvest. J-Bag.
Wow.
A little bit wide onto him, and Q's going to be the one to find it. Aldem, the last alive now. Nothing to save. You may as well go guns a-blazing. And what better to do with than the frenzy? Just waiting for any audio visual at all for just the right time. He comes out and takes a beautiful several to the face from a distance, looks for another one, considers a third, but it's not quite there. What a game that would have been.
I mean, Boise, the players still look pretty happy with just picking up a double in a 5-on-1.
Yeah, 2.5 on a 5-on-1. That was great. And one of them from a distance, I would not want to make that frenzy play. It takes so much practice. And speaking of so much, look at the grinding you have to do. Look at the hours you have to send to get that frenzy.
The Radianite you have to spend. Although I don't think that is actually a Radianite frenzy. I think that's a battle pass one. Oof. But it would look so cool if it was.
A big reach from Sky is pulling out the Marshall on round 2, getting hungry for more. And look at this pack mentality. Like so many Wolves, Boise State moves down from A site, and much the same as Claire. It's going to be pushing up the other. But look at this, fast and dirty Skies. The lone wolf to take on the pack.
Absolutely unreal.
Sends people running. They are making their way onto the site, and the Boise State squad is moving in.
I do really like this Marshall purchase, because you got to remember, you know, in these early rounds, having full shields is far from given. So this Marshall can just be an effective op, and it sure is for Boise State. Skies is able to get the triple. Rariana's going to bring St. Clair down to 1. Boise State's going to pick up a Phantom. That's a huge eco swing.
They are just staring at the spike now. And it's a beautiful Daimyo in for the defuse as J-Bag finds a second kill, I believe. 3 to the Marshall on Skies. This man's so hot with the mouse. An early round op like this is such a big deal. And Boise State now. One may have gone down, but they take another in its place. And Boise State now 8v6. What a position.
Oldham having a huge prize that he won along with J-Bag. They're both going to have the luxury of getting Phantoms, where St. Clair is going to be forced onto an awkward eco round. No bonus to speak of this time. In fact, it's nearly a perfect round for Boise State. Only Daimyo has the Spectre.
Which is a shame, because he's the one that got the defuse, so he should have a little extra cred maybe.
But he also, you know, still playing it a bit cautiously with how much he wants to spend.
Speaking of playing cautiously, St. Clair moving nice and slow here, finally going to pick up the spike, start making some decisions, flipping some coins as they are poised towards A for the first time, and Boise State not expecting that. Look at this 2 split, more like a 3-1-1.
Scout destroyed.
All the Scout is going to go down as he starts to feel the pressure, and Boise State running over to support this force. As St. Clair comes riding into sight. J-Bag with a melee kill takes one.
Spike planted.
Oh, and another 2. They tried to check the 50-50. They almost didn't make it. But Emu and Gub going to find several. St. Clair now looking at a 4v2. It's good, but they're still a little bit split, and Skies has the chance to take some. He's going to find it.
Wow. Nose Gub is there. Baits out the defuse, forces a peek over, brings it back down to 2 apiece.
It's just filthy. Jumps over, and it's still so menacing they have to leave. They keep peeking on him, and he does some damage, but it's not quite enough. Daimyo, though, to clean it up as they're scattering back and forth, focused on one. He comes in for another, and the communication here is brilliant now with a 3-point lead. Boise State is looking great.
There were so many times here where I was very shocked that they were able to be so many consistent picks, because you saw it first on the hold in A main, and then Skies you see going onto the site itself. There were multiple times where Boise State had two members of St. Clair on either side of them and had to focus on one angle while hoping not to get hit in the back, and it worked out both times.
Yeah, some uncomfortably wide positions that Boise State has been able to wrangle well. Now on a fresh, clean 5v5, so much utility has been propped up in the doorway by Boise State, making it difficult for St. Clair to come straight into the A site. After a little bit of a regroup, they're considering some more mid-ish hits, as it's already been scouted out.
I suggest you move.
Rariana now able to make a quick position change, move over to aid the fight on A site. Aldham going to be the one really expecting. Taking the brunt of the hit, though, as Q comes flying in and finds one. Daimyo, after a quick flash, he's got to reposition himself. And a second one, he's able to 180. He gets a beautiful, almost a collateral. He does find Emu before Gub takes him down. That's a trade we're willing to make, as it's 3v4 now, plus damage, and Skies with the ult, not quite there. Zushi. Just Rariana and J-Bag. Rariana taking some serious damage, but it's not enough to put him out of the fight. The spike is down, though.
Toughs it out through the showstopper, just walk it off. And Boise State isn't going to get too drawn into this. They're going to smartly save and just play for the next round.
And sometimes after a solid pep talk and too many good rounds, you get a little bit hungry and you get a little bit greedy, and you start depending on these clutches. And it's good to see that Boise State hasn't hit that mindset that is a brick wall of a mindset to run into, and are still good to save when they need to. Because a 4v2 is just not sometimes worth the guns that you might lose charging into that. So St. Clair coming in on a 7v9, positioning themselves only slightly better than Boise State was looking last map. It's quite a bit of a flip here. But this is a reaching by as we see Skies going in, playing for the future games, while some are left with 0 credits and even medium shields. Boise State's not exactly comfortable here. They're playing together. They've got to play strong.
J-Bag throwing down a whole lot of stars. Is going to be
Recovering it.
throwing out some sight denial as well. That is one wavy wall, by the way, too, on B. I like it. That is.
Spike planted.
Welcome to my world.
Viper's been used by St. Clair.
Ooh, all the tags are coming out. It could be a beautiful flash. And the knives from a distance going to take out tapping. A beautiful precision play with a little, just a sprinkle, a salt's worth of teamwork on top. Skies from Aerial takes some serious damage, but never as much as Daimyo's taken. Aldham is going to be the one to find it. A little bit of a reheal now with an actual gun.
He's going to get blinded. That's going to play him. And Rariana is able to take out Fuse. Viper's bit drops, and Boise State is going to go up to double digits.
Oh.
I think they have just enough time. No.
Oh, unreal. What a clutch indeed. Absolutely brilliant. 2 clutches in 1 round. What more could you ask for? Just a little bit less than a third of a second. Rariana stone faces it. He's not even worried.
Wow. And also, Boise State, guys, multiple times was very low on health, but was healed up consistently by Aldham. And what it just saw an elbow or two, and I'm just immediately sprayed to take out the Viper. Not a moment too soon.
Absolutely ridiculous now. All the eggs that we put in one basket have hatched, and Boise State is back up to a nice clean buy round. Look at all those guns. St. Clair looking to push up onto the A site. Boise State still nice and spread out. So much vision denial on B every single time. It's crazy. Like webs that they have to play in here. The collegiate play is a serious game, and tonight's match matters. These are top 10 performers. Top 10 in the continent. St. Clair from Windsor, Ontario, Canada, playing against Boise State. Valorant.
And the wall's going to force J-Bag back.
I've got your trail.
Through it. Taking a bit of chip damage here and there, and that'll help Scub to take him out with the Frenzy.
Oh.
I suggest you move.
We have a polite suggestion
Spike
coming
planted.
out from St. Clair to Boise State to move on out of there.
Scout destroyed.
Oldham is going for the long flank, checking his angles, but moving his way through Hall. He does get shot in the leg, though, as he's running.
Last player standing.
Blinded.
Just one left, Oldham.
Piss off.
Well, okay. Gets one. Still don't know if he can necessarily bring it back, but maybe I would think the best case scenario is to get an exit frag onto Sushi. Oh, tries to, but rough position on the other side of that harbor wall.
Did do a little bit of damage, but yeah, it is rough position, right? Because there's really no way to save. You're kind of cornered up, so he may as well just go for it when the timing feels right. And he does some damage, but Sushi with the 4K to do so much there.
That. See the purchase coming out here. Boise State's going to be forced onto a pretty hefty save round. And they're going to, what they lack in firepower, they're going to make up for in sheer tenacity as they go charging up through B. Going to be right in the keys. Oh. Okay, it's still a 1-for-1 trade, and more importantly, they can pick up that Vandal.
Sushi getting a very early plant as Boise State
Spike
feels like
planted.
they're tipping just a little bit here. They still have a little bit of momentum in their favor, though. If they can play through this tough spot, a 4v4, it's not too unfair. Looking for a little bit of a regroup here, 2 in mid and 2 at the spawn, walking through the floor. Little floral shop here.
Use Rariano. Okay. There isn't too much time left. Boise State has really got to hoof it.
Diamond looks to play, he's tapping, he knows where he's at, he's got a corner, and it's not going to happen though. Gub to find his one, all that makes it a trade, but it's not quite enough, and there's a team ace coming out, 9v10. Ooh, it just feels a little uneasy. 9v10 is a strange position to be at. Boise State in the double digits and has been ahead for a while. St. Clair, though, has not used up any of their mistakes and is almost about to be on even ground. Boise State is ahead with the ultimates, though. St. Clair
Here.
can only play so many strange tricks.
Skies has saved up all of his pennies to buy an op. It's going to take all he has. He's not going to be able to purchase any shields, so he has got to be extremely active. Oh my goodness,
No.
that's rough.
What a
I
play.
suggest you move.
Wow.
That's tough.
Skies tried to get him off guard. Gets blinded and taken out immediately.
J-Back trying to play through a little bit, but Gub, relentless, dives right into the thick of it and finds one. Daimyo doing well to put up a good fight and takes one down. St. Clair still 4 alive, though, and they
Last
just keep
player
doing more
standing.
damage. Daimyo to get a 1 trade, and it's up to a 10v10. What a momentum shift.
Remember, nobody's a hero.
Especially since that was a full buy from Boise State. It's going to make this next round a bit awkward.
They can stomach an 11-10 and come back with a strong buy afterward. That could be one of their few options going in on a big save here. And goodness, that Skies play just had so much potential, but there was so much at risk with it.
camera, taken out almost immediately in mid.
A very back to basics buy around here. With only sheriffs or stingers.
that
Gov
even got
takes a
deep.
wild collateral from the side and moves it up to a third one as Daimyo, a little bit slower gun, just kind of loses that fight.
Gub taking everyone off guard at a 90-degree angle.
So strange, Gub has not come out of the gates like
Spike
that very
planted.
often either. He's decided that it is his time to shine as St. Clair already with Spike down at Boise State. 2 members separated and removed.
Dodge of the blind.
It's enough information and they're not going to be pushing up on the J-back, so he has to re-hit from the top. Sky's much the same. They could be coming in
Last
after.
player standing.
He's going to find one with a beautiful dash. They see him, but it's not enough. He finds the second. Last alive, putting up a great fight. Half health and none to save him, though. They're on the hunt.
Doing just about as much as I can, given the tough situation.
Yeah, that spike just ticks slowly down. And St. Clair's final 3 try to hunt down an outro as well as save, but it's not quite going to be there. Aldem using up their second time out, trying to change a little bit here of the momentum.
Boise State sure has a lot of ultimates saved up, and I would think that one last play by Skies, you know, that's taken just enough guns away from the other team, you're able to save one rifle up for yourselves. You said this next round was kind of going to be the one chance for them to full buy, so I think the little bit of eco shifting that Skies was able to do there could be very instrumental in Boise State picking up a win.
And hopefully this little conversation could be very instrumental. It's good to see the IGL chatting right away into the microphone as we dive into what could be an important round for an important match. Remember, the first map, just to catch anyone late joining up, the first map did not go in our favor, so it is down to this one to bring us over to a third one in a kind of long-term overtime on the icebox. Strange the way that we saw this Ontario team, St. Clair, play on Pearl compared to how well they played on the last round. It was just so faltering, and Boise State was able to take so much momentum right off the
Boise
bat.
State is indeed in the defense right now. It is do or die.
Boise State looking to make so much out of so little here. And 11 and 10 just right on the edge.
St. Clair is all bunched up, and Boise State, no one really is holding down B now. They do have the Cypher tripwire, though, so that's probably going to get taken out and give Boise State the cue to rotate over. In fact, they're already doing it.
Fire in the hole!
Toxins going up.
Showstopper. Make peeking up through here. Oh my! Oh!
Spike planted.
Talk about
Missiles.
checking your angles, but that is checking the wrong one.
Yeah, that's not the way I would expect the 50-50 to go. But he just had to get enough to throw it in so it didn't just hit the harbor wall. Q gonna find one on a Daimyo, making it a long-term 1-by-1. Aldem playing very, very close. Gets a good blind on. Looking to play the distance, kind of corral people in here before going absolutely crazy. But the Killjoy scares him out. Aldem has got to remove himself from the situation.
He does.
He's able to. Oh no, he walks back into it at the last second now. 2 of the Boise State players.
There's enough
Everyone's in a
time. I
big
don't
position.
think he's not going to pay for it. This guy still has his back. But speaking of time, Boise State doesn't have too much left. Got to take him out of
Enemy
here.
remaining.
Oh,
Just can't be. And Aldem.
one left just on time alone.
Clutch.
Now that St. Clair's going to go to match point. 2 more being taken out in the spike explosion radius.
Match point.
Now Boise State is up against it. I have to wonder if how would have you played that situation with the Killjoy in front of you? Because you either have 2 options. You can either go back to try to dodge it, but as you can see, that burns off a lot of time. Or you can try to go into hole to find it, but you got to take down everyone in there. I mean, it was a tough situation.
Situation earlier in the game, and they decided to play offensive. I guess the problem is that if you do play offensive and you're successful, you're still the only one there. But you have made serious damage.
Well, this Viper's Pit is going to make pretty much a no-go for St. Clair at the moment.
Time to
Still
hunt.
kind of positioning around A, so they might throw a good amount of util out through it.
I suggest you move.
And use the Harbor ult in response. Oldham gets the pick onto Gub. Ball thrown out. Just moves to the other side of it, ready to throw out the Hawk. St. Clair's just going to take their time. Moves over toward mid. J-Bag is waiting there in the crosshair. But it's just about right.
Ooh, it was so close.
Now this is a big opportunity here for Boise State. They
30
are able
seconds
to
left.
find the neural theft.
Yeah, definitely a circumstantial ult to use, and this is the circumstance. We saw they were all together, all in one place. Means they only have 1 or 2 tricks left up their sleeve. And again, the mini-map is just devolved to being a child drawing in so many vision denial goes up. Alden to find 2 to make it a 4. And Skies with the knives, a beautiful clutch. Boise State wins it in the last second, all catalyst by that neural theft.
They've
Now
got
at 12-11.
to win one more to put it into overtime. This is quite a reversal of fortunes from the margin we saw in the first game. Boise State was only able to get about 5 or 6 rounds, but here both teams are up to double digits. It is down to the wire. It's going to be pretty evenly spread out between both of the points. Rariana's going to throw a little utility out into the choke point. No one really wants to go through it at this point, so they're just going to have to wait out those abilities. In fact, St. Clair seems to be on the strategy of just running it back and going for B again.
Yeah, I mean, that choke point is choked all the way off. St. Clair just has grub, considering still pushing through and just making a little bit of damage, just keeping people honest. You can't rotate all at once because he keeps holding the spike. Otherwise, it's a big push back onto B. And I'm starting to love the all-out playstyles of these teams. I mean, as soon as there is a utility that could be used, it's used. And it makes this map so much more enjoyable.
trail.
Again, this is sliced all up, and Daimyo is under so much fire, has to retreat behind the harbor walls.
Right
J-Bag, much the same, but now taking the heaven. Search over, and is safe from any snake bites. Oh, Aldum caught by Gub from around the side, a flank that has been in the brewing since the start of the round.
Very nice. Get Q. Fire position.
Last player standing.
No, Gub with that flank though, I think that's probably the deciding factor. Ariana still picks it up on the molly, still has to take a 3-on-1 and gets taken out in the end. But so close between Boise State and St. Clair, and again, you got to remember that you're going up against the top 10 team in the nation. That you're able to get it that close and competitive is a huge achievement in and of itself.
Competitive for sure, and that close definitely. I mean, that was neck and neck for so much of the second map, and so many clutch rounds that just quite didn't go in our favor on the first map. It was a very close game, but St. Clair is going to be taking this NACE game.
So, now's the time where we get to shout out a specific player of the game as we wrap up this match between Boise State and St. Clair. But before we do that, we also want to remind you that the top 5 plays of the game, which we'll get to after the player of the game, is brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. More than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams to join out there. Reach out to them on Twitch at iGuardGaming. Alrighty, so now Boise State, we can look at all the different players that they have, and who do you feel like calling out?
I mean, they all just played fantastic today, but I mean, J-Bag is always a good anchor, and he had some brilliant plays. We saw Rariana thin and on so many clutches, doing so much after the fact. Like when I thought the round was over, I think I'm going to give it to Rariana. Though we've seen, I could talk on and on about all of them.
I was about to say, I'm not allowing you to spread your prediction out between one. You have to pick one and go for it. I'm going to put my prediction on Disguise.
On Disguise, yeah. That's fair. So we'll have to see what they have in store for us. But we saw so many brilliant plays, and you'll get to see Production's favorite 5 plays of the game. But it is going to be J-Bag.
Definitely had some amazing. I mean, there were so many clutches, and I think the main thing that stuck out to it for this round was just how quick some of these spray transfers were for Boise State. There was great crosshair placement, headshots back and forth. And, well, you know, I don't mean to, you know, okay, this is a J-Bag replay.
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
I thought they were showing Sky's replays, and I was like, if I have a chance to say my prediction was actually correct in the lone one, I'm going to take it. But your player of the game is brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes the team more successful, just like how Idaho Central helps its members achieve financial success. J-Bag is your ICCU player of the game. Some of his plays, I mean, made the team go absolutely crazy. So what a great game to watch. Really exciting in the end there on Pearl. But that is going to do it for us tonight. So we're going to leave you with the top 5 plays of the game, brought to you, like I said earlier, by the Idaho Army National Guard. So thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night. Enjoy your top 5 plays. Are putting their focus into mid-market. If they don't turn around, they might be too fast. Rariana is going on a flank. This could be huge. Catch them in the back. And it's going to be good enough of a distraction for Boise State. He's calling out the location. That gives Boise State a chance to warbang. Gets the Sova with 1 tap. And Gub.
Chip damage and be the only one up front and too wide and angles. He falls back, and now all are behind the curved harbor wall as there's an easy defuse coming from Sushi.
State is pinging the spike, however, nice flick over from Skies. My goodness! Look at him! He's able to trade 3 for 1! Clair. Oh, look at that! That flick and then the spray. Oh man, what an incredible spray transfer.
It feels like a different team. They're just playing so well. Daimyo on the hunt, looking for another one. Takes him mid-air to the jaw. 4-tapping, no chance. Boise State preserving their flawless. There it is. He's going to find it.
Wow. Nose Gub is there. Baits out the defuse. Forces a peek over. Brings it back down to 2 apiece.
It's just filthy. Jumps over and is still so menacing. They have to leave. They keep leaking on him, and he does some damage, but it's not quite enough. Daimyo, though, yeah, definitely a circumstantial ult to use, and this is the circumstance. We saw they were all together, all in one place. It means they only have 1 or 2 tricks left up their sleeve. And again, the mini-map is just devolved to being a child that's drawing in so many vision and algos of all to find 2 to make it a 4, and Skies with the 9.